Dad, Caleb said, rolling his eyes and laughing. Don't be silly. Daniel's right here.
Oh, no.
He pointed up at an empty space in front of him at something that stood at a height about 1 inch shorter than me.
A pussy. She'll be mocking the tall kid. I swear, one word from your big fat mouth. I interrupted the tall kid with a light whisper. Get out! Shit, he whispered. A terrified curiosity took hold then, and Marissa and I couldn't help but look at whatever had caused him to swear. Faces were pressed against every single window. Welcome to episode 96
of Ghost.
With me, Hannah Bitchkovsky, and that the bitch over there.
Suzie Priest.
That stupid bitch.
Can you please stop negging me? I feel like I'm on like Love Island and you're trying to crack onto me by being like, you're so thick and silly and stupid bitch.
I don't watch Love Island. I don't have time for that faff.
I don't either.
But I will watch.
I feel like that is proper brain rot, that.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to... Please, will you watch Vanderpump VP? Please. VPR, please.
I'm going to pick a tarot because...
Yeah, go on.
That one's still up there. Can you shuffle it in?
Turn around, then. Turn around, bright
How are our Huns in the world doing? Are we all good? Podcasting with Suzie Priest.
Go on, then.
You done it?
Yes. Okay. And I need you more than ever. And if you want me, hold me by the clitoris. Forever. What is it?
This is a new one.
Oh,
this has got... I've got a man with ginger curls hammering away at a pentacle.
Oh.
I think this is about graft.
Right.
Look it up.
Let me see.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can count 8 pentacles on that.
Oh, I've never seen that before.
I've never seen it in my life.
No, that's worrying.
And I really went for it. I could tell it was the one for me. I think this is about a man who's putting up stars on a log because he's working hard.
BiddyTarot.com. Shout out. Okay, it means... Did you pick it up upside down or reverse?
I think it was normal.
I mean, normal, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. Apprenticeship, repetitive tasks, mastery, skill development. The Eight of Pentacles shows a young man labouring over 8 coins, carefully etching out a pentacle shape into each coin.
Yeah.
In the background, there is a small town. However, he has separated himself from the distractions of home life so he can fully dedicate himself to the task at hand.
Yes, I knew it was grafting.
He is concentrating very hard, eager to do a good job and avoid any mistakes. As he creates each coin, his skills improve and he becomes a master of his craft.
Oh, I really like that,
That's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's lovely. Oh, stunning. Okay, well, would you like a story?
Yes.
Shall we crack on now?
I was going to say I could do my part 2 with Tingy.
Yeah, shall I do this one first then?
Yeah.
I was like, yes, that is the plan. Ghost towns aren't exactly uncommon out west. The massive population explosion of the gold rush even dotted the landscape with little pop-up mining camps that were abandoned when the riches ran out.
Sorry,
Leaving.
What are you saying?
This is a...
Ghost towns aren't common around here, is that what you said?
They're not exactly uncommon.
Oh.
So they're very, very common. The massive population explosion of the gold rush era dotted the landscape with little pop-up. I've driven past some mining towns in America, and they're very creepy, very fucking spooky, because they're like abandoned.
I love abandoned.
It's just shit everywhere. It's really weird. Sometimes if so the massive population explosion of the gold rush either dotted the landscape with little pop-up mining camps that were abandoned when the riches ran out, leaving only skeletons of their buildings behind. Sometimes, if you're lucky, you'll find small tools or other everyday artefacts that the miners used, but mostly they sit empty and forgotten in the scrubland. My sister and I made a hobby of finding these towns and photographing them. It was exactly like urban exploration, just with scorpions instead of rats. Marissa got me started on it after we'd taken a short road trip through some desert back roads and came across a small settlement of aged buildings. They were warm by weather and near constant sun, but still sturdy, and my sister convinced me to go in some of them. It was a bit spooky, a bit exciting, and entirely fun. We were hooked after the first time. Every few weekends became dedicated to finding ghost towns and driving out to them to spend hours going through whatever had been left behind. Marissa would do some research on them before we went and fill me in on the history during the drive over. and I tried to find things to photograph that matched up with what she told me. We'd post a few pictures with the corresponding facts to an online blog, but mostly we did it just for our own entertainment. I found a new one, Marissa said by way of greeting me when she met me in lunch for town one day. A new town? Yeah, about 2 hours drive away. There's not much about it online. I guess it wasn't active for very long. Do you think it's worth checking out? I said. My sister rolled her eyes with slow exaggeration at me. Duh. You free Saturday? I thought you'd never ask. And so, a bit flirty for brother and sister, aren't they?
Thought you never asked.
Thought you never ask, sexy.
I thought there were two sisters.
Could be. I just assumed it was a man.
Yeah, classic.
That is so sexist of me.
You're a misogynist.
Either way, I made them sound a bit sexy for each other, which I shouldn't have done. So our next adventure was born. We met at my apartment early Saturday morning, and armed with only my camera, a GPS, and a cooler of snacks and water, we set out. We should do this.
Fun.
Yeah, great. There really isn't much to see out in the desert. It's a vast expanse of sand and scrubland topped off with an inescapable sun. The mountains off on the horizon can be pretty impressive, but even they start to lose their appeal after an hour of staring out the window. I knew we had to be getting close when Marissa pulled off the highway onto a narrow 2-lane road that wound us closer to those mountains. Is there some kind of sign or something I should be keeping an eye out for? I asked. No, from what I read, you just kind of have to know where you're going to find it, she said. In typical Marissa fashion, she turned down the music and leaned forward with a deep frown of concentration. Apparently, the quiet and narrowed eyes were essential to her being able to find out where we were supposed to be. I think I see something over there. She pointed off to our left, where I could just make out the dark silhouettes of buildings against the blue sky. The dirt path we had to take to get over them was bumpy, and I clung to my door to keep from being jostled around. As we neared the town, those outlines we'd seen from a distance solidified into old, faded wood. At least half a dozen buildings were scattered about, and surprisingly, each seemed to be in pretty fair condition. Condition?
Yeah, I didn't want to pick you up on that.
I just saw you go, Jesus, Marissa cried suddenly, and she wrenched the wheel to one side while slamming on the brakes. My seatbelt caught me sharply across the front as I was thrown forward, and I let out a surprised yelp. As we skidded to a stop, a black cat went slinking away from our car to vanish behind the nearest building. Sorry, Marissa said shakily, her smile both relieved and embarrassed. Are you okay? Yeah, I assured her. Stupid cat. There's a cat. Stupid cat, she agreed. After we'd taken a moment to settle ourselves, we shared a little giggle and grabbed the camera from the back seat to begin our exploration. The saloon was first. Little more than a plywood bar stretched across the back wall with some tables and chairs spread around the room. I was busy taking pictures of some boots left in one corner when my sister called me over. See, like, abandoned boots. Why not just take your fucking boots? It's like someone's been murdered. Look at this, she said, gesturing to the shelves beneath the countertops where rows of beer bottles were lined up. Oh, cool. I knelt to set up a shot, but Marissa jostled my shoulder. No, Celine, you're right. No, Celine, look. These are modern bottles and they're clean. There's no dust on them. A quick inspection proved her right, and I lowered my camera. It occurred to me that the boots hadn't been particularly dirty either. In fact, a look around the room showed that it was all pretty clean. Usually there was layers of dust and sand and spiderwebs. Not even the windows had the typical cracks in them, though. Do you think someone comes out here and uses this as a bar? I asked sceptically. I don't know, it's pretty far out in the middle of nowhere for a quick drink. Let's check out the others and see what state they are in. We walked from building to building, doing walkthroughs of each, and they were all similar. Bafflingly cared-for condition. We had just finished going through the small upstairs of one of the bunkhouses and were descending the stairs when a voice from the front door almost had us tumbling over one another. What are you doing here? An Asian man, just shy of being elderly, was standing in the entryway. He was glaring up at us from beneath the brim of a stained cap, one hand still on the doorknob, and the other clutching a baseball bat. Just looking, Marissa said quickly. I shyly held up my camera to confirm her words. Although his dark eyes remained suspicious, he seemed to relax slightly. You shouldn't be here, he said. Sorry, we'll go. I grabbed Marissa's arm and we scurried down the steps out past the man. Being out in the open seemed to embolden my sister. Wait, she said, pulling herself free. Why should we leave? Who even are you? Henry Lee, the groundskeeper, he said, clearly unimpressed with my sister. For a ghost town? She ignored my pleading tugs towards the car and stood her ground. Yup. Even if that's true, we're not doing anything wrong and we came a long way to get here, so we're not going to leave until we're ready. Marissa, I hissed. This isn't a playground, young lady, Henry said testily. And we're not playing, we're just taking pictures. You shouldn't be doing that either. I don't know where it's from. Marissa scoffed. Why not? They don't like it. My sister and I exchanged a glance, mine uncertain, hers clearly asking if this guy was for real. It wasn't lost on him, and he shut the door firmly behind him with a sigh. You have no idea what this place is. Sorry, it was the same. You have no idea what this place is, do you? He asked, speaking slowly as if addressing small children. Of course we do. We came here because of what it is, Marissa replied. Then you know you're standing in a graveyard. A graveyard? I peeked over Marissa's shoulder at him. Yep, so show some respect and leave this goddamn place, madam.
Fair.
He walked around the side of the building, and despite my whispered urges to go, Marissa followed him doggedly. We found him putting the bat back into his truck, which was parked behind the bunkhouses. When he saw we hadn't been so easily shaken, he slammed the door and crossed his arms over his chest. There's nothing online that says that, she said, and I almost groaned. Of course my history nerd of a sister wouldn't be able to go without demanding more answers. There wouldn't be, Henry said. It's just my family, after all. Nobody gave a shit about them then. No one gives a shit about them now. My family never left, he said soberly whilst twisting the cap off the bottle of a beer. They never had a proper burial and their spirits can't rest. How do you say can't in an American accent? Can't.
Can't.
And their spirits can't rest. There are rituals that have to be performed so that they can cross over. So he obviously buried them himself. I think he's murdered them. That's why I come here, to try and offer some relief to them with offerings of food and drinks and new clothing when I can. It's little comfort after what they've been forced to become, but it's something, because they haven't had proper burials.
Thank you, Mr. Tchaikovsky.
So you really believe the ghost of your dead grandpa is just wandering around? Marissa asked bluntly, and I immediately apologised on her behalf. Henry just nodded, his expression as grave as his voice. Oh yeah, I've seen them. They're visible to the living at night, but you had best pray they don't see you too. You're messing with us, Marissa laughed. Do you know what a hungry ghost is? He asked. And when we shook our heads, he continued, they're driven by anger or want a constant unfillable ache in their bellies. These were poor men, so they're poor ghosts too, unable to purchase any relief in the afterlife. Does sound like John Coffey. They are always looking for a way to... what am I doing? I've forgot our character. They're always looking for a way to ease their pain. They can take other forms, like a beautiful woman or a pussycat.
Uh-oh.
And they'll try to lure you outside, where some will hurt you if they can, and others will try to possess you. The hair on the back of my neck rose slightly when he mentioned cats, and I was reminded of the one that we'd hit on our way in. Killed it dead.
Didn't know they did that.
Neither did I, actually. I thought they'd nearly hit it.
Yeah, I thought it went scarpering off.
Maybe they're trying to hide it. Marissa wasn't the least bit bothered and continued to pepper Henry with questions about the town, which he answered more often than not. He remained gruff and busy, but it was also fairly obvious that he enjoyed passing on the knowledge of what had happened here. By the time any of us realised how late it had gotten, the sun was starting to slip behind the mountains, leaving a bright red streak across the sky overhead. We should get going, Marissa said at last, but Henry shook his head. His glance out the window beside us was an anxious one, and I followed his gaze to the black cat perched on the railing outside. It stared back, unblinking. I think they meant they nearly hit it on the way in, because they definitely didn't hit it, did they? No, if we leave now, they'll come for us, Henry said. We should have been gone already. I shouldn't have let you distract me so much. Come on, you don't really believe in all that stuff, do you? Marissa cocked her head to one side and snorted. They went back and forth, insisting that they were right, and all the while darkness crept over the town. Marissa was mid-sentence when the crying started. It was soft and sad and coming from just outside the door. It sounded like a man. My breath caught in my chest, and I looked to Marissa, whose face had lost all colour. Henry motioned for us to be quiet and to follow him quickly behind the bar, where we all ducked down and huddled together. All of Marissa's bravado had vanished. The crying faded into a heavy silence until the only thing we could hear was our own breathing. Can they get in? I squeaked the words out. There are seals on all of these buildings that should keep them out if the door's closed, Henry said, but they are very old now. Something scratched the door lightly, as if testing it. Very good. And a cat meowed from the other side.
Why you on sad some facts?
Because it's an old fucking... It's an old ghost cat. Meow. When it remained unopened, the scratching became more fervent, more desperate, and the meows turned to piercing, howling screech that shook me to my bones. The crying began again, and then a chorus of voices joined in, all speaking rapidly and crawling over one another in their effort to be heard, and it felt as if they were all pressing against the door. Marissa and I clung to one another, and Henry told us more than once to stay silent and still. "Shit," he whispered. A terrified curiosity took hold then, and Marissa and I couldn't help but look at whatever had caused him to swear. Faces were pressed against every single window, held up on impossibly thin, needle-like necks. Some had tiny mouths that opened and closed wildly, the swollen tongues within lapping at the air. Others had bright flames burning at the back of their throats. Their eyes bulging in a light with feverish want were all fixed on us.
It's like zombies.
Yeah. "What do we do, Henry?" "We wait until dawn, and we hope that the seals hold." I think the seals are like magic seals.
Oh, like chunky.
Yeah, yeah, they're covered in sea life. Oh, we can't make a run for it. Our car isn't that far, Marissa said. "It won't work. Lights, cars, phones, when they're gathered like this, none of it works." "We can't just sit here all night." "We can't leave. You step outside, that's it." The heavy groan of stretched wood accompanied his words. We all popped up again to see the door start to bow inwards, pushed by the frenzied, clawing, hungry ghosts. "Upstairs!" Henry was moving. "There's another sealed door, come on!" As we scurried beneath the windows, those outside wailed and pushed and thrashed. We'd only managed to kick the upstairs door shut behind us when one below splintered and gave way. There was no footsteps on the stairs to tell us of the spirit's ascent, no telltale creaking of the floorboards, only a cold darkness that filled the entire space beneath the door. Hushed whispers filled the small room, and I could feel their despair and desperation twisting its way around us, clogging the air until it was almost hard to breathe. None of us slept that night. The ghost wouldn't let us. At some points, we each had to take it in turns to keep one of us from giving in to the cloud of hopelessness that the ghost cast over the room and running out. Henry remained the most composed, and if it hadn't been for him, I was sure my sister or I wouldn't have made it. At the first light of dawn, all their cries suddenly ceased, and we were immediately able to shake off anguish that had plagued us for so many hours. We waited for a bit until the sun was streaming brightly through every window, then we hurried down the steps and out of the saloon. "Thank you." Marissa stopped long enough to say to Henry, "For keeping us safe, even though I was really rude to you." He just nodded. We wasted no time in leaving after that, and even though he was exhausted and eager to be on his own way, Henry remained in the middle of the street, watching us go. We put that ghost town and its groundkeeper in our rearview mirror as fast as we could, and although we didn't say it aloud, both of us instinctively knew it would be the last one we'd ever visit. The end.
Wow.
Ghost creeping around.
Marissa and Celine. Great names.
Great names. They're like off the OC, innit?
Yeah, and Celine Dion.
Whoa, nearly fell off
He nearly died.
my chair. Can you tell me a story, please, for God's sake?
So this is part 2.
Very exciting.
Of the little bastard
I
Caleb.
love the little bastard.
Yeah, here we go. Okay. So what has happened in the previous episode, if you're just coming in now, is Caleb has clearly, the animal leashes have been found under his bed by Brienne.
And now all the bodies have been found in the
Of
pet
the
cemetery.
cat.
Yeah. He's a creepy little fuck.
Yes. One night, about a month later, I awoke to the sound of muffled voices coming from down the hall. Brienne was asleep next to me. Caleb was the only other person in the house. Or so I thought. Who was he talking to? I wondered. I crept out of the bedroom, tiptoeing to avoid detection. I crept towards Caleb's room and pressed my ear to the door. He sounded like he was having a conversation. I listened. Caleb giggled. "I wouldn't do that," he exclaimed. My eyebrows shot up as I listened. Who is he talking to? "I would wait," Caleb said again, then giggled. What came next made the hairs on my arms stand upright. The deep voice of a much older man replied, "I can keep an eye on them for you." But I didn't want to hear the rest. Without a second thought, I flung open the door. My eyes darted around the room, half expecting to catch someone crawling out of the window, but no one was there. The window was undisturbed. I had opened the door in a flash before anyone would have had time to flee. Whoever was here wouldn't have had time to escape. I looked under the bed. No one. I had opened the door in the middle of that person's sentence, whoever he was. Whoever had been in Caleb's room didn't seem to be there now. Caleb, who were you just talking to? I asked, panting. Caleb giggled. My friend, Daniel.
Oh, no.
Who's Daniel and where is Daniel? Dad, Caleb said, rolling his eyes and laughing. Don't be silly. Daniel's right here.
Oh, no.
He pointed up at an empty space in front of him, at something that stood at a height about 1 inch shorter than me. My skin crawled with chills. There was no one there. Since then, we've taken Caleb to several child psychologists, but nothing's come from it. They either try to put him on antidepressants or tell us to spend more time with him. Never mind that we already spent lots of time together as a family. One psychologist said spending more time with Caleb might eliminate his need for imaginary friends. But the more time goes by, the more I question how imaginary Daniel is.
Gross.
Daniel knows things he shouldn't know. We've tested Caleb to see if we can trick him somehow, but so far it hasn't worked. One day I told Caleb, ask Daniel where I was born.
I've got a belief that there's no such thing as imaginary friends. I think it's all ghosts.
Do you think?
Yeah. I think imaginary friends is too weird to think like.
I do as well.
Really?
There's
like
enough
imaginary
stories of kids.
friends?
Yeah, I agree.
That's really weird.
They're ghosts.
Yeah.
I
Have
agree.
you ever never watched Drop Dead fucking Fred?
No.
What?
No.
Rick Mayall? Fucking amazing film.
Oh, no, I haven't seen
Really
it.
good.
One day I told Caleb, ask Daniel where I was born. Where was my dad born? Caleb asked the empty room. Then, South Philadelphia. Caleb
I was
said
born
without
and
a
raised in playgrounds.
Caleb said without a pause. And when you were 5, your family moved to Pittsburgh, then California, then back to Philadelphia 1 year later. All correct. And Daniel knew about Brianne's tumultuous relationship with her now deceased mother. He knew about her depression as a teenager. He knew.
I'm so sorry to interrupt. I've just realised that actually Will Smith in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air didn't come from the South of Philadelphia. It was West Philadelphia, and I would like to say that before anyone comments that I'm wrong. Very thick.
Very
in
thick.
South Philadelphia. That's not how it goes.
But I was born and raised.
Thank you.
He knew she had 2 miscarriages before we adopted. He knew she had 2 miscarriages before we adopted Caleb. Caleb knew none of this information, so how Daniel knows this is a mystery.
Wow.
Caleb is 10 now, and he still talks to Daniel every day. It looks like Daniel is here to stay. A few nights ago, Brianne and I were reminiscing about when we adopted Caleb. Then I remembered that voice recording I'd saved of him speaking Greek back in 1st grade.
What was he saying?
Did we ever figure out what he was saying? Brianne said. I shook my head. No, but you know what? One of my colleagues is a Greek mother-in-law. I'll send him the recording and see if he'll have her translate it. I'd kept that recording in my phone, so I pulled it up and I texted it to my colleague. He texted back within the hour. He wrote, I sent it to her and she listened to it. And this is what it says.
Oh, God. Something like, I like eating dogs' dicks or something. Well,
I'm going to try and read it in Greek.
Well, we can't understand it.
I'm going to then hear me out.
Okay.
It means, don't you know who I am? When will you realise who I am?
Oh.
The end.
Oh, wow. Oh, God. Wow, that was shorter than I wanted. I wanted more.
I want more, but there isn't more.
So what happened then? So was this, there's a ghost and it's been like, kill all these dogs. Kill all these doggies. Yeah.
I think, I reckon he's an old demon.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, I think he's from the underworld.
And
actually, you know, everyone was like, the Greeks. I think this is some kind of Greek demon.
Oh, really?
And he's taken the form of Caleb.
Oh.
Because I'm sorry, the fact that he speaks Greek like that.
Yeah, weird.
And he was like all into that Mesopotamia shit. I'm like, come on.
But why have they killed the dogs and stuff?
Well, it's obviously some kind of vile, foul demon.
And why is he so little?
Because that's just how he rolls.
That's just how he rolls. He's a little guy.
And...
Do you want a littley?
Yeah.
It's that time of year again. Another stupid Halloween night with a bunch of stupid kids breaking into my house. Just to prove they have the balls to enter a haunted house. Well, I'm a ghost. Or at least that's what they call me. I'm not entirely sure what I am, actually. I just float around this empty house when no one's around. To keep me sane, I also write this diary of mine. It takes a lot of effort for me to manifest myself in order to touch physical things, but it's totally worth it. It might sound mundane to you, but I actually enjoy my time here. It's very peaceful. Until a bunch of stupid kids decide to show up every dang Halloween, each year bringing 1 or 2 new faces, and this year was no exception. The first one to enter was a familiar face, a chubby kid. Short curly hair, cheeks splattered with chocolate freckles and flanked by 2 round big ears.
Aww.
He sounds cute, doesn't he? A loud creak echoed through the empty halls as he took the first step into the old wooden floor. His breathing was shallow and rapid, awkwardly puffing his chest in a sad attempt to appear nonchalant. The faint beam of his Garrity Mini rugged light failed, I assume that's a little torch, failed to cut through the thick darkness that is waiting to engulf him and his friends into nothingness. Come on, guys, stop being such a wuss! Chubby taunted his friends.
Aww.
To be fair, I bet he's going to end up being a little shit, isn't he?
Chunky.
Are you sure this is a good idea? Let's just go and grab some candies. I don't really like it in here. A short but wiser kid explained. Look, Kenny, we do this every fucking year. Don't you want to get laid?
Whoa. Sorry, I thought these kids were kids.
I thought they were too. The girls in school would totally think we're badasses. Yeah, but to be fair, like boys when they're like 11 are like, we don't know what it means, but
yeah.
Besides, I have my eyes on Debbie Reynolds, and I'll be damned if she doesn't.
Debbie Reynolds sounds like someone's grandma.
Isn't that Paul? What's his face? It's Paul. What's his name?
Oh, the magician, Paul Daniels.
Yeah, Paul Daniels. I know Debbie McGee.
Debbie McGee.
God damn it, Billy, you're 12. Do you even know the meaning of getting laid? Said a tall, scrawny kid. Yeah. Chubby replied unassertively. Let's just get this over with so we can go home and stuff our face full of giant sweets. A kid
that
with
sounds
huge
more like
spectacles
it.
sighed. They're definitely like 12.
Yeah.
The rest hesitantly agreed and stepped in. One of them murmured something. I think it was a prayer or something. The thumping of their hearts grew louder as they ventured deeper into the dark halls. I started with their flashlight, lightly touching it so it flickered. Oh shit, I forgot to change my batteries, Chubby laughed nervously. His friends flipped him the birdie at the same time and shook their heads in unison. That made me laugh. Fuck. Did you hear that? The tall kid whispered. Hear what? Stop messing around, said the short kid. Ha ha, pussy! Chubby mocking the tall kid. I swear, one word from your big fat I interrupted the tall kid with a light whisper. Get out! His face turned pale. He choked on his saliva, deciding not to finish his sentence, and ran all the way out of the house. What's the problem? Scoffed the kid with the large spectacles. What a wuss. Come on, we'll go upstairs, and when we're done... Oh, Debbie, here comes Billy the Willy.
What is going on?
This chubby kid wants to bang Debbie Reynolds.
Right.
Even though he's not quite sure what it is.
Billy Willy.
But they're all like, come on, let's go inside. And then when we leave, they'll all think it's really, really cool. And they're all like, okay, well, let's do it, but let's do it quickly.
Okay.
And now the ghost, a.k.a. me, has scared the shit out of them.
Okay, fine.
Dang it, I thought to myself. It looks like the other 3 kids couldn't hear me. I was low on energy, and it takes a considerable amount of effort to even whisper or a chuckle to be heard. Frustrated, I let out a piercing scream. Well, at least it was ear-piercing to me. Those 3 kids barely even noticed it. They just stopped in their tracks listening for a minute or so and went on. I understand that some people are sensitive to a certain frequency and some people aren't, which explains why the tall kid was the only one able to hear me. The others were completely oblivious. But I wasn't about to give up. With all my might, I forcefully willed myself into a terrifying physical form. The usual horror cliche I'd heard from kids. Long dark hair, dark red liquid oozing out of my empty eye sockets. Sockets! Exposed muscle tissue and bits of broken bone sticking out of my body. I have to admit, if I were looking in the mirror now, I would have shat my pants. It's absolutely horrifying. As they were heading up the stairs, I appeared in front of them with my last bit of energy, and I shrieked.
Ah!
Very good. It caught them by surprise. They screamed like little girls and ran out into the night. I let out a sigh of relief. I hope I scare the crap out of them and they won't come back. I was exhausted, but I was also desperate. They say there's nothing to fear but fear itself. Yet in our world, that isn't true. Many things are worse than fear. And one of the things is in this house, locked in the upstairs room, waiting to be set free. But I'm getting weaker year after year. Soon, I won't be able to scare the kids out of this house anymore. Soon, they'll make it upstairs, and soon, they will unlock the door. The end.
What's in the door?
We don't know. We don't know what's in the
mystery.
door. It's a big mystery.
It's like Till or No Deal,
I
isn't
quite
it?
liked it from a ghost's point of view.
Yeah, I do enjoy.
Do you know what I mean? A bit
Mixing
like,
up
oh,
that
these
POV.
fucking cunts.
Yes.
Coming in. Sorry, Mum.
Would you like a littley?
Yes, please.
Okay. So this is a similar
found
vibe
it
to
quickly.
what I did in the bonus episode, which you can find on
Oh,
patreon.com/ghost
nice.
huns.
I liked that.
Which is about a glitch in the Matrix, because I do feel like there's so many stories about these timelines that just don't quite match up.
Completely agree.
And I'm going to tell you a little one.
I think that is the thing that makes sense more than anything, because it's like different worlds, different universes.
Yeah, it creeps me out more than ghosts, I think.
I mean, we know there's loads of not loads of Milky
true.
Ways, but there's loads of galaxies.
Yeah. Okay. My heart is already beating fast telling this story. Only those closest to me know that this happened.
Oh, shit.
Until now.
Oh, shit.
When I was 25 years old, I was driving home from work one night. I lived in Los Angeles at the time. I was driving on Sunset Boulevard, heading west towards my apartment in Brentwood. For those who are not familiar with the area, there is an expanse of sunset near UCLA that's very curvy. It's 2 lanes on either side with no shoulder. It was 8:30 on a Saturday night, so there was some traffic. I was driving along, and all of a sudden, about 50 feet in front of me, I saw a car, but I was looking at the passenger door. A car had spun out of control and was perpendicular in my lane. I didn't have time to stop. I looked to my right and saw there was a car next to me, so I had nowhere to go. I instinctively turned my car all the way to the right anyway. Once I cleared the first car, I spun it all the way to the left, still trying to avoid the second car. While all of this was happening, I remembered a time with my mum at Disney World when I was 3. This isn't a memory I've ever had. I vaguely remember parts of that trip, but this memory was not one of them. I realised then that my life was flashing before me and I was going to die. I'd never been so sure of anything. Every part of me knew I was about to die. I started screaming. To this day, I don't know if I vocalised anything or if it was all in my head. I yelled, "No, no, this isn't fair, I'm not done yet," all while swerving all over Sunset Boulevard. I suddenly stopped my car.
That's where Vanderpump Rules is.
I suddenly stopped my car and I was now perpendicular in the opposing lane of traffic. I looked around and there was not a single car anywhere. It was like everything had been wiped clean. I put my car in reverse and proceeded home. I did not see a single car the rest of the way. I was only 5 minutes away from home at that point, but Sunset Boulevard on a Saturday night was completely empty. I got to my apartment and parked on the street. I didn't see one person. While walking to my apartment, I came to the conclusion that I had died. Because I said no, I was stuck in some limbo. I'd never wanted my roommate to be home so badly, and unfortunately she wasn't. I called one of my best friends and said, I need to ask you some questions. Please just answer me and I'll explain after. I asked her my name, my age, what city we lived in, and the date. Obviously, she was very alarmed. I explained that I thought I was dead, and I wasn't sure if I was really on the phone with her. She tried to convince me that I was alive and that everything was okay. There was no way, mathematically, to escape it. There was nowhere for the car on the right to go. This moment has haunted me my whole life. There have been times when I've questioned my existence. I've wondered if my life since has been a very detailed death trip and I'm actually lying on Sunset Boulevard bleeding out. After many years of meditation, spiritual practice and belief in quantum physics, I wonder what life I jumped into.
I love that.
Isn't that weird?
Love that.
That's so strange.
For more of that, go to www.ghosthuns.com/ghost.
And also check out a podcast called Other World.
Very good.
Which is Jack Wagner, I think.
It was very good.
And he discusses some stories similar to that, where it's about like near death and jumping from one time warp to another.
Yeah.
And it's a good pod recommendation.
It's very good. Okay, creep of the week.
Yes.
Do the song because I hate it.
Oh, come on.
No, I absolutely cringes me out. You do it.
Will you do another version?
Creep of the week, 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 creep of the week.
Creep of the week, creep of the week, creep of the week.
Right, okay.
Okay.
This is from Maddie.
Hi, Maddie.
Hi Huns, me and my mum found your podcast just before a long drive back from university, where for 3 hours we binge listened to your tales. We both have a love for the supernatural and true crime, and I have now been binging ever since. Thank you, Maddie. I never thought I'd have something to write in, as nothing peculiar has ever really happened to me apart from one thing. My mum and I have always had a weird sixth sense and can sense when a presence is in the room. My mum and her mum have had this for decades now, where they don't know what, but they occasionally feel a presence. We've moved house a lot, and for the last 8 years have lived in a very, very old 3-storey house. I mean, it's so old that there's literally a plaque that says our street was built in 1800. Anyway, when we moved in, my mum staged the house and we never really had many issues until after I moved to university. My mum and her best friend, who I'll call S for privacy reasons, were sitting in the living room. Both are highly spiritual people and have had multiple tarot readings, yoga appointments and healing therapy. As my mum tells me the story, they were sat on the sofa when they both felt a dark shift and cold breeze go through the living room. And as they did, the door to the stairs slammed shut. Thank you. Now, the door part isn't unusual, as our house has no double glazing and really easily shuts in the wind. What's odd, however, is how both S and my mum looked at each other and knew something had just entered the house. Now my mum knows when a male or female energy has entered the house but can't see anything visually. To quote my mum directly, something dark and black and male was stood in the living room. I hated it. I wanted to run. At that point, S pointed exactly at the stair of the door, which had just shut, and said, "That's awful." S declared whoever had just entered is not welcome. Now, something I hadn't told my mum before now was years ago when I was at school, I had a similar experience. My room was in the attic, and from my bed, I could see the top of the ladder of the stairs. I assume it's the top of the ladder, which was the stairs. From the dark, I could sense what I thought was a man wearing big, heavy walking boots. I knew when someone was walking up my stairs and assumed it was my mum, but I realised it wasn't. What I felt was a large, male, dark energy with these stupid fucking boots. I told my mum and she told me not to worry. When I brought it back up all those years later, after she told me her story, she didn't sound so sure. S and Mum cleansed the house, opening into every single window and brought in as much light as you could do to channel out this dirty man energy. That is shit, actually. Manergy. As they opened the back door, a motorbike drove off down the road. "Yeah, on your bike," S said, which always makes me laugh. We've had no bad energy since, but I can't help but feel sometimes like someone is watching me on the stairs. This might not be the scariest story, but it always sends shivers down my spine. Much love, Maddie and her mum. Oh,
Maddie, so babe, they've seen the same energy.
All three of them have got this dark man energy.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Would be a fucking man,
Get
wouldn't
on your
it?
fucking bike.
Coming in uninvited.
Yeah, Manergy is the worst kind of energy.
Right, okay. Pick 3 cards, please.
3?
Yes. There you go. 3, and I'll pick 3. Don't look at them yet. Put them down. Oh, God. Yeah. Go ahead. Oh, no, which one? Okay, fine. Okay, I'm going to pick 3 as well, and we're both going to guess what they are. Well, not guess. Actually, no. We're gonna ask the spirits to tell us what the tarot cards actually say. Okay. Or which ones they are, yeah?
Okay.
Gonna go for that one. Okay, so I'm gonna say I've had the 3 of... Did we have 3 of Pentacles earlier? Is that why I've got it in my head?
8 of Pentacles.
Okay, well, I've got the 3 of Pentacles in my head, so I'm gonna guess 3 of Pentacles.
Oh, you're guessing what they are?
Well, we're gonna. Someone's telling me the 3 of Pentacles.
Okay.
Death.
Yeah.
And what's the next one?
Carrot.
2 of Carrots.
Go on then.
No, that's...
Oh dear. Well, you have kind of...
I've got all of these ones.
Oh, wow.
What a day that is. I've got the Tower,
the Sun.
the King of Swords.
And the Sun.
But I was going to fucking say the Tower and I went with Death.
Yeah.
So that's kind of close, isn't it?
Okay. I'm just going to see... Shall I just see what I've got?
No, you need to tell us what you've got. What are the spirits telling you? Ask the spirits for some help.
I think I'm going to get carrots, swords and swords.
Okay, go on.
Carrots.
Carrots.
The chap.
Pentacles.
And the Emperor.
Oh.
He's nice, isn't he?
Well,
but
there's
that's
some
not
good
what I
cards.
predicted.
No, it wasn't. I kind of did.
You kind of did.
Death. I did say death. I didn't say the death card.
That's true.
And the tower does display
It's very deathly.
death. Okay, that's been stunning.
What
Thank
a
you for joining us.
epi.
Thoroughly enjoyed
If you
that.
are wanting more content, go on patreon.com/Ghost Huns.
There is bonus episodes. There's Ghost Hunts. There's Huns After Dark. There's Agony Huns. There's fucking loads of it. Go over there. And we'll see you there.
See you later,
Bye.
guys. We love you. Bye.